So this is a quick tutorial about how you list products on third-party marketplaces. We're also going to tell you the difference between the different platforms, at least some of the larger ones. So you got to remember some have what's called shared databases and certain ones have what's called independent databases. So something like eBay has an independent database where you create the listing. But places like Amazon and Walmart have a shared database, which means someone else created it. You're borrowing a listing. Go watch the video if you don't know the difference between shared and independent databases, because it is mandatory to know. Certainly, if you're going into an Amazon seller store, you're going to want to know the difference between those things. So I'm going to show you today how to do something simple. I'm not going to focus on the independent databases. I'll tell you in a preliminary sense that you would take your product. We've got plenty of products because we're stuck with tens of thousands of products. Go watch the videos about getting stuck with products. So for this particular dog toy for eBay, you'd be creating a page. Now you can copy someone's page on eBay, but you're still going to be creating all the fields in that page to make it your own, which means when you're done, you're going to have your own page. So if I wanted to create an eBay listing with this, probably just start from scratch. The way I do it, I don't copy other people's because you just copy their mistakes. And I don't start from scratch, which means you do add a product. I copy another product. And so I take a product where I've already put some stuff into the text field. I've already done some of the shipping presets that I need. As a matter of fact, 90% of the work is probably done, especially if I find a listing like the one I'm trying to list. Now, first of all, the big difference on eBay is here I've launched into the eBay one. I'm going to try to get this out of the way really quick. Multiple item listing versus single item listing. So if I'm just doing this without sizes or colors, types, if it's just this one size, really it's this one SKU because a SKU tells you the size, the color, in most cases the color, but usually the size. And so if it's one product, I'm doing a single item listing, I'm going to copy a single item listing because on eBay you can't change them from multiple to single in the middle of doing them or after the fact. So I'll take a single item listing, I'll copy it, I'll make sure the store categories are correct and the eBay categories are correct, and then I'll fill in the text field and all that stuff. So for a shared database, it's not like that. So for a shared database, you're just taking the American SKU. It says you can use the EU SKUs and you can use some other product identifiers is what they're called, but in most cases you're going to use this UPC, this US identifier. It's 12 numbers, and you're going to see one number in the beginning and one number at the end. So usually what the manufacturers do is they use the last 6 and they chop off the very last one. So it's basically the last 6 minus 1. So it's a 5-digit SKU is what manufacturers use. So in this case, the last 6 are 483758. So I would chop off the 8. It would be 48375 would be the manufacturer identifier for this product. So on Amazon, you're going to go into that shared database, add a product, put in the whole 12 number SKU. This is going to pop up. If it doesn't, that's an error page. Happens all the time. So assuming it looks like this and the title describes this accurately, which again, about 80% of the time, that's how bad it is, you're going to go ahead with the listing process. And on a shared database, you're only going to be required probably 3 fields, and that is price, quantity. You already have the picture in there, so you'll need to put in the price, the quantity, and your unique item number. And so you'll probably copy the manufacturer item number. So in this case, again, you'll do some abbreviated manufacturer name. I'm not going to tell you what this one is. Let's just pretend it's Super Pet. So SP, and then 48375. And that's it. That's your unique product identifier. That's one field. Next field's price. This is what, 15 bucks. And then the third field is going to be quantity. And that's where it gets tricky, of course, because when you sell on multiple platforms, how many do you want to put on each platform? If I've got 10 of these, I've said this over and over again, you have to make an executive decision. Do you want to put 3 on 3 different sites? Because that's probably not going to work. If Amazon's is 90% of your orders like it was for us, you're going to have to put all 10 on Amazon. And then when you put quantities on the other sites, if they sell on those sites, you're going to have to remember to take them down on Amazon or be aware of what I call the general inventory rule with these databases. And that is when you pick and ship the last one, you recheck the product page on Amazon. You go in there and you say, okay, this is my last lamb. for this particular SKU. This SKU's gone. I'm going to go in my database, look for this SKU, and take it down. And that's, again, where the problems start, because sometimes when you list things, they get changed, even though you're not. I've never been able to change it. It's the problem with the buy box changing strategy that doesn't work. But somebody's able to change them, or internally Amazon changes them. So what happens is even the title can change, and you can't find your own product. So again, you'd have to have tens of thousands of products in your inventory to have that problem, which we did. Maybe even 5,000 would do it. And then when you go in, you put in lamb and it doesn't come up, you think, oh, it's not in Amazon, I never listed it. When you could have, and they could have changed the title to something else, or if they even take out the space between lamb and whatever the next word is, lamb fuzzy, if they take out the space and it's one word, lamb fuzzy, your search ain't gonna work. The searches are terrible on these shared databases, which means when you go to list a product. So I'm going to do that really quick. You put in the 12 numbers in to add a product. It brings up the picture. You liked it. You filled out those 3 fields, and then you just click list. I always suggest going back and double checking it. Go to your database, refresh it, find out if it's in there at the right quantity. And this is in most cases going to be single item products. Now this is not the way you do it if you're trying to do mass uploads. If you're trying to do mass uploads, you can do spreadsheets, you can do everything on spreadsheets, you can do them all in one take, you can do a lot of preliminary work, and then you're going to load it into the Amazon or Walmart database or whatever database you're using. The problem with doing it that way is you're going to import mistakes, especially in a shared database, because it's going to ask for certain fields. It's then going to copy all those the way you would do it if you're doing it manually, and your database would then be filled with those products that are copied, shared basically, from the shared database, and it would also contain any errors that are in there. And when you upload 1,000 products, you're not going to go back and check all 1,000. You're not going to know about those mistakes. So we do them all manually. You take one little dumb thing, put in the 12 numbers, pay someone. It used to be $10 an hour, now it's $500 an hour. To put in the 12 numbers, double check the picture and the title, list it with those 3 fields, go back, double check it again, and then you should be fine. And that's how shared databases work. I just do want to reiterate that when you go search things in a shared database, things change daily, so you can have a lot of problems searching. In addition, especially on Amazon, Amazon internally will take down listings, block listings, change listings, and they also do a thing where when there are multiple problems from a SKU in their shared database, shared among all sellers, FBA, Amazon themselves, when they get a lot of complaints about a product, they will block the product. And they'll block it and send you one of those little messages that say there's changes to one of your SKUs. And what I found with this automated system doesn't work very well. I get those updates about SKUs that aren't mine, and I don't get the updates for the ones that are. So again, that's another thing to be aware of. Be aware of this whole inventory problem and pay a lot of attention in the beginning about how you're doing these listings to make them work. That's the inventory preliminary intro video for listing on third-party marketplace. Thanks for buying.